In the first reading today, we hear about the Tower of Babel, which we're probably familiar with, and it seems like God's overly harsh on these people who just want to build a lot of stuff and build this high tower. But when we see their motivations, we see exactly why God punishes them in this way. That here they are trying to build a tower all the way to the sky, which clearly they're not going to be able to build it to heaven, but it shows where they are in their heart, that they want to be on God's level, that they want to put themselves on the same level as God, which really is the root of all sin, right? They said we want to make a name for ourselves. Adam and Eve did the same thing. When they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, it wasn't just that they wanted to know right from wrong. That knowledge of good and evil thing, it's called, fun fact for you, it's called like a merism. It's when you say the first thing and the last thing in order to encompass the whole range of things. So like when we say to go from 0 to 100, we don't literally mean you go from 0 to 100. We mean 0 and then every number in between to 100. Or A to Z, east from west. It is a shorthand way of encompassing the whole thing. So to know the knowledge of good and evil is really to know the knowledge of all things, that Adam and Eve wanted to put themselves on God's level as well. And that's what all sin is us saying, you know what, God, I know your rules, I know what you've taught, but I know better. Or I'm going to be the exception in this instance. And we know what happens when we do that. Everything crumbles. And so the Lord punishing these people is actually, I think, a mercy. That instead of allowing them to be successful in making themselves into gods, he brings them back down. He corrects them, punishes them, sure, but it keeps them from an even greater evil, an even greater pain and suffering. And if we have that humility in our own lives, we realize that God does the same for us. Whether it be the evil that we endure that we have no control over, or even the evil that we commit, God clearly permits it. But he only permits it so that he can bring some kind of good about through it, whether it be to teach us, to instruct us, to strengthen us, or others. Whatever pain and suffering we have in our life, if we give it over to God, he makes it into something good and beautiful somehow, some way. Maybe we see it, maybe we don't. One of my favorite sayings that I say all the time in the high schools: pressure can burst pipes, but it also makes diamonds. If we give our sufferings over to the Lord, whether it's the ones that we do or the ones we endure, he'll make us stronger and he'll make us beautiful. So whatever's going on in our lives, let us hand it over to him today and allow him to make us into diamonds.